Hello everyone, we are taking charge of every facet of our lives, and this is Take Charge with Sophie. My name is Sophia Kafui Teye. We've been having interesting discussions for the past months on this channel. Today, we'll be talking about quick ways to get out of debt. So in this episode, we talk about what debt is all about. We'll touch on why people get into debt and how people can get out of debt. You agree with me that at every point in one's life, we get into debt to take care of basic needs like shelter, school fees, acquisition of properties, movable and immovable properties. And most of the time, we can obtain this debt, or we borrow from family and friends. We borrow from financial institutions, non-bank financial institutions, and also we buying on credit is also a form of debt that a lot of people get into. And there are so many reasons for which people get into debt. People don't get into debt because of the fun of it, but sometimes people get into debt because of very bad habits that they have actually developed over the years. In primary school, as young as we were, we had people who always borrow from their friends, take people's chop monies and say, I'll pay you tomorrow, meaning that tomorrow they'll pay the money that they owe the person the previous day. And then it also means that day they'll have to borrow from another person. It becomes habitual, so they may have to borrow from different people in order to meet their needs. So if at that level you are so young, you don't have any dependents, and you are borrowing so much at that level, you grow up and you think that it is normal to keep borrowing because people are ready and are available to provide you the lending. So sometimes we form very bad habits from childhood, and then when we grow up, it becomes chronic, and then we borrow without feeling guilty and all that. Some people to get into debt circumstantially, maybe circumstances because of ill health, because they have lost their jobs and that kind of thing. So they get into debt because of such circumstance. They may need to survive. They need to take care of life, basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, and other things, and even health and all that. So if that happens, they end up owing family and friends, loved ones, the institutions they work for, and all that. Some people also get into debt because they live above their means. The interesting thing is that if you are living above your means, it means that your monthly expenditure is more than your income level can handle. And that's one day. If you are living above your means, certainly you will get into debt. And those are some of the reasons why people get into debt. People also get into debt because they go and get themselves involved in some bad contracts and business deals and all that. And when that happens and that business did not actually generate whatever it is that they were expecting before they pump the money inside, they may have to look for money to actually pay that debt. So people also get into debt because of their businesses and all that. But I mean, debt is not bad in itself. Debts are very good because it actually helps us acquire things that will take us several years of personal savings to have. For instance, if you want to buy a land and you have not saved for it, you cannot use 2 months' salary to buy land. You may have to save for a year or two, depending on your salary, or maybe 6 months or something before you can buy that land. But loan can make it possible, or debt can make it possible for you to just take a loan quickly, buy that land, and be paying for it small, so that at the end of the day, you own that property. So debts are not necessarily bad. And sometimes those who don't want to take debt or borrow at all end up saving for so long, and by the time they are ready to pay for that particular property, the price would have gone up as a result of inflation. So debts are good, but if you acquire debts beyond a certain threshold, then it becomes problematic. You know, debt comes with a lot of problems. It deprives you of your peace of mind. Depending on the type of person you are, if you owe someone some will be very worried because they can't sleep. They are just thinking about the fact that they owe someone. It actually deprives you of your disposable income. You understand? So if your salary is a particular amount and then the monthly loan repayment is higher, it means that you won't have, even though your salary has come, you can't have access to the full amount. You understand? You have to use a chunk of it to pay off the loan. And you may even risk damaging your relationships, especially those people who borrow money from family and friends, church members, co-workers, and all that. And if you don't pay the people back, you actually risk damaging your reputation with those people and also bruising that relationship. If you make a post on Facebook or any of the social media platforms on people's experiences about how they lost friendship with some people, they will tell you that they borrowed from me and I'm chasing them, and after that, I mean, they became my enemies and all that. So you risk actually damaging your reputation. And then some creditors take very drastic actions. If you owe them and you don't pay, some people will even end up shooting you, depending on who they are and what kind of temperaments they have. Some people get so angry and take very drastic steps that just to retrieve their money, put in brutal force to ensure that you pay the money without fail. So those are some of the things. And some financial institutions too may end up seizing the assets that you have, assuming you use those assets as a collateral to acquire that kind of loan. And most of the time too, the institution may go after your guarantor, the person who guaranteed for you. They go after them if you don't pay. Sometimes people take student loan and they end up not paying. They finish school, they don't pay, and then their aunties and uncles who are on retirement, who guaranteed for them, will now be held ransom. They have to actually pay for it and all that. So all those things are not the best. So if you take debt beyond your personal threshold, it means you cannot pay. And if you cannot pay for it, the person who gave you the money will have to chase you for the money and all that. I mean, what should we do when we sense that our debt levels are at unacceptable levels? We need to actually take an action to reverse that trend. If like your debt levels have ballooned to the extent that you cannot take it anymore, it means that you have to take an action to correct that. And taking corrective actions can be very, very difficult. You understand? What did you do to get into debt? It means you have to do the opposite to come out of debt. So creating your own get out of debt plan is possible. So you have to now sit down and do a personal introspection and say that, hey, I owe this thing, there is too much. So what do I do? So you have to first of all agree that you are at a very dangerous stage in life where you owe a lot of people. It's not honorable. Even scripturally, it says, Bible says, owe no one no debt except the debt of love and all that. So once you get to the point where you are convinced that, no, I owe a lot, I have to do something about it, then that is the beginning. You have identified the problem. So how are you going to get out of it? You have to make some fundamental changes to your lifestyle. You have to deprive yourself of some luxuries so that you can make some savings to help you pay off your loan. Some of the drastic changes to your lifestyle could be the money you spend on food. You may have to choose other alternatives that are cheaper. The money you spend on clothes, the money you spend on cars and all that. And even if you are very intentional about lifestyle change, you can even get out of there very fast, even with a low level of income. What is important is the consistency. If you want to get out of debt, you need to make a commitment that you want to do. You plan. And then you have to be very, very self-disciplined to be able to get out of debt. It is not easy because you have already built some people did not build very bad habits to get into debt, but because of circumstances. But if you are to get out of the debts, you have to do the following. Stop borrowing. You already owe, your debts are at an unacceptable level. So you have to do what? Stop borrowing. Try and live within your means. Manage with what you have. Track your spending, meaning that what part of the spending is unnecessary, which of them should I cut? It's very good for you to set up a budget so that the budget can regulate how you go about spending. And if the loan is with a financial institution, you can renegotiate the terms of the debt if possible. Maybe the tenor of the loan is 4 years. So that means that your repayment will be bigger. You understand? If you take a loan, 50,000 loan, and then you have to pay within a year, even the principal, if you divide it by 12, the interest hasn't added up to it. You'll be paying so much. But if you are going to pay that within a 3-year period, 50,000 divided by 36 months, you realize that the amount that you pay will be small, plus the interest component will be smaller than if the tenor is shorter. So you may have to renegotiate with the person, the financial institution, either to prolong the tenor of the loan, or they reduce the interest rate for you so that you can pay off the loan. And then you have to commit your windfalls to debt repayment. What do we call windfalls? Like some money you are not expecting. You are a business person and some huge money has just come in that as a form of profit. What do? Use it to clear portions of your debt so that your debt levels will go down. If you are a worker and you receive some bonus, some allowances and all that, that are not normal, like not your usual monthly allowance or bonus, what do you do with it? Use it to clear the debt so that your debt levels will reduce drastically. And then it is very important that you pay off your most expensive debt first. The most expensive debt, what do we call the most expensive debt? A debt that has the highest level of interest rate is what you need to pay off quickly so that you can be able to reduce your debt level. And then one of the secrets to reducing your debt level is for you to buy quality things and then let them be few. Quality things don't spoil early. So if you buy quality things, they last longer, the maintenance is limited and all that, so that you don't have to be buying things from time to time and end up losing money. And then it is very, very important that as much as possible you get a side hustle. You get something that will generate an additional source of income. If you want to get out of debt, you cannot be earning the same level of income. It means that you have to look for additional sources of income. If you have to do multiple jobs or do other legitimate stuff that can generate income, you do that so that you can quickly get enough funding to clear your debt. Now that you know it is possible to get out of debt, I will encourage you to put this suggestion into practice for better results. It is always possible when you actually mean it, you are committed to it, and you work towards it. And then you'll be amazed at the kind of results that you will get at the end of the period. Thank you for making time to watch this episode. Please subscribe, share, comment, and also press the notification button so that you can get notifications on our new postings when we share them. See you in the next episode. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.